Hello and welcome to Rounding Third's presentation on how to understand and excel at the college recruiting process to continue your playing career. My name is Adam Baker and I am your host for this quick presentation. I just want to start by saying thank you for taking time out of your busy day to view this presentation, and hopefully we can give you great valuable information so that way you can reach your goal in playing college baseball. First, I want to just start off with you want to play college baseball. That's why you're watching this, and that is your ultimate goal as a high school baseball player. So what are you in for? Well, I always say that you've got three major life decisions, one of which is to accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior in your heart. The second is what college you're going to attend. And third is who you're going to marry. I think those are the big three decisions in your life. They'll affect the rest of your life. So why not take the same time and what college you're going to attend as those other two decisions? College baseball is the greatest time in your life. I played for 4 years. I had the best time. I wouldn't trade it for anything, but it is a lot of work. You got school, workouts in the morning, 4 or 5 hour practices, long bus rides, so many more games in high school, but it is entirely worth it. Let's just jump right into the divisions of college baseball. First, we have the most well-known division, Division I. A lot of people obviously know this from the power football conferences, but what some people don't know is that in football there's two subdivisions, the FBS and the FCS, but in baseball there's no subdivisions. All the teams are playing to go to Omaha. And what the big misconception are is just because there's a big-time college football program that's a powerhouse doesn't mean that they're a powerhouse in baseball. Actually, sometimes it's quite the opposite, where these smaller schools that maybe don't even have a football team are major powerhouse teams in baseball. So make sure that you know where the Division I schools are in your area and go check out all of them. Second is Division II. This is a great level for those bubble players. You might have the talent to play at Division I, but you might get redshirted, sit out another year, and it could be 2-3 years before you see the playing field. Whereas if you go Division II, you could play from the first pitch to the last pitch 4 years later. Don't not consider Division II. There's some great baseball in that division, and you could have a great time playing. Next is Division III. It's a obviously smaller division than Division I and II. It's a little more academic focused in those schools. They do offer a lot of academic scholarships, but they do not offer any athletic scholarships. So that is one drawback, but the academic scholarships can make up for it. Next, we have junior college. It's kind of two different categories, unofficial categories in junior college. One type of junior college team is filled with a bunch of studs. If you go to a 4-year school, you've got to play at least 3 years and then get drafted. Whereas if you go to junior college, you can just play 1 year and go to get drafted or go to a big-time Division I school. So some of those junior college are powerhouses filled with just 1-year players. Then you also got the junior colleges where the students might not be academically eligible for Division I. They might be good enough for a 4-year school. And so they want to go to junior college for 2 years, work on their skills, and get a lot better at baseball in hopes to get recruited by another 4-year school. Then you have the NAIA. That's kind of like the NCAA. It's a lot smaller. It's a lot less complex, doesn't have as many rules, and the schools there don't have as many sports teams as NCAA. A lot of the schools don't have a football program. Mainly they have basketball. Some schools don't have baseball. So it's just a smaller scale than the NCAA and not affiliated with the NCAA at all. One question I get over and over is how early is too early to start the recruiting process? Of course, my answer is it's never too early depending on your goals as getting recruited. You obviously want to take campus visits tomorrow. As soon as possible. Even if you're in 8th grade, start going to campuses. Find out what kind of academic life you want. Do you want big campuses, small campuses, in big cities, a small college town? Where do you want to go to college? What part of the country? Those are things that you can start thinking about now. And there's plenty of colleges around you to do that. I bet there's 20 colleges in a 50-mile radius of you. JUCO, NAIA, Division 3, Division 2. Visit all of them so you have a full sense of what you want out of college. Then a huge part of the recruiting process is the on-campus showcases and on-campus camps. You want to go there as many as you can and many as you can afford. I wouldn't recommend going before junior year just for the fact that the college coaches don't really put freshmen and sophomores in their recruiting pipeline because they don't know how you're going to turn out. Freshmen can add on 60 pounds and grow 1.5 feet by the time they're seniors, or they could grow 3 inches. That's why coaches just want to wait until your junior year, have you a little more developed, see what really player you're going to be. Like freshman year, as I was talking about, not a huge time in getting them recruited. Coaches can't really contact you in any way. You can contact them, though. You can call them, either email them as much as you want. When you're going on campus, unofficial campus visits just to check out the school, reach out to the coach and be like, hey, coach, can I see your weight room? Can I see your locker room? Can I ask you about your program? Tour your field. And he'll probably, if he's got the time, most assuredly do that for you. But he can't just initiate any contact. Sophomore year, the same thing. The only thing that really changes is he's allowed to send you brochures and questionnaires to you. Those questionnaires are a huge part. They start your file with the coach. They're basic questionnaires, like how old are you? What year are you going to graduate? What's your GPA? What's your high school's coach's contact information? What do you like to do? What are your athletic stats? Those type of things. Take those things seriously. Write them legibly. I know a lot of you guys don't have the best penmanship, so if that's you, get someone who does have great penmanship, have them fill it out, and send those questionnaires back immediately. Junior year is a big year for college recruiting. They're allowed to call you your July 1st after your junior year, and you can obviously still go on unofficial visits, but they can't contact you before July 1st after your junior year. Which brings us to senior year. That's when the contact is almost unlimited. They're allowed calls to you. They're allowed to meet with you off campus up to 3 times. And they're allowed to offer you official visits. Now at Division 1, you can only visit a school once, and you can only visit 5 schools on official visits. Unofficial visits you can do as many times as you want. But at Division 1, you can only go on 5 official visits. Division 2, 3, JUCO, and NAIA, those are unlimited official visits. That's just for Division 1. Like I touched on, junior year is a key year. That's when you enter in the coach's recruiting pipeline so you can track you through senior year. Tracking you through senior year. Not a lot of people get scholarship offers junior year. That's when the coach puts you on his radar, tracks you through senior year, and then make sure you're a great player, and then he'll offer you. But it is not the last chance. I've had a lot of athletes get recruited after their senior year. It's in summer ball. A coach sees them a couple times, and he signs a letter of intent 2 weeks before campus starts, or college starts, excuse me. Now, the term recruiting, but I want you to replace that term with selling, because that's much more what the recruiting process is like. You've got to get it out of your mind that the coaches are going to be recruiting you. You've got to go sell yourself to the coach, because you're the only one who cares about your future. The college coach doesn't know you. He doesn't care what you're going to do with your life. Your mom and dad and your high school coach, they could be a great support system, but ultimately this is your life. This is your decision. This is going to define who you become in your life. What job you take, where you might live. It's all about you. So you got to put in the work. You got to sell yourself. You've got to make these choices. And that's what we at Rounding Third will help you. We'll help you with all these things to do, so that way you're getting the best chance as you possibly can in order to get to college. Because at the end of the day, what makes you different than the 100 other athletes that the coach is considering? They're putting up the same athletic resume as you. They're just as fast, just throw as hard. But you know what's going to differentiate yourself? Your selling ability, your interview skills, how you act when you go on college campuses. That's what's going to separate you from all these other athletes who are just hoping that the coach comes and find them, which honestly rarely happens. Like I touched on, this is the biggest job interview of your life. This takes you 4 years of prep in order for you to get offered a scholarship or offered to play a chance in college. There's no other job in the world that will take you 4 years of prep in order to do an interview. So you've got to be on your game constantly when you're over talking to coaches, when you're playing. Even academically, you've got to be on your game so that you can make the grades so no college is off limits to you. You've got to start building a resume, building an athletic resume, building an academic resume. And when I say building a resume, I mean a physical resume. We can definitely help you here at Rounding Third with the resume, putting a picture on there, putting your stats on there, how to format it, what verbiage to use, which is huge. You got to put your coach's contact information on there, and also your athletics accolades. And also, if you do community work, charities, what you do off the field can be huge so the coach can start finding out what your personality is. And the big thing, I know it's crazy to think about, but you got to work on your interviewing skills. When you go on these on-campus camps and you go to these unofficial and official visits, the coach is going to be asking you questions. You're gonna have to know what questions he's going to be asking, how you're going to respond, and very important, what questions to ask him. How long is he going to be at the school? What is his players like? What kind of coaching philosophy does this have? This all should weigh in your decision and what we can help you with here at Rounding Third. But at the end of the day, you've got to make it about you. You've got to make it personalized. When you send out those resumes or those video highlight reels or the cover letters, the coaches know when you're going to mass email that out to all the campuses. If your letter says like, "Hey coach, this is Adam Baker and I want to come play for you," yada, 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 he's going to know that you're just mass emailing that to people. But if you put, "Hey Coach Smith, this is Adam Baker and I love your program at St. John's and I was really impressed that you went 40-10 last year and would love to play for your team," that's a lot more personalized. It's going to get the coach's attention. It's going to show that you care and know what you're doing. Another huge part of the recruiting process is obviously how you perform at high school and summer baseball. It's very important how well you do there. It's obviously not all the end-all be-all, but since you want to play baseball in college, you got to do well in high school. You got to take it seriously, especially summer ball aspect. I know that's kind of tough. You're always going to tournaments for the 1,000th time, playing in the heat, spending the whole day, with your friends, girlfriend, hanging by the pool, then just show up to a game, play a game, and then leave. High school ball is a lot more structured. You got school, academics, practices when you're not playing a game, because a lot of those summer teams, they don't practice during the summer. They just play games. Another thing to take seriously as a high school is that stats are officially kept. College coaches tend to be more familiar with high school programs than they are summer programs because there's only a limited amount of high school teams, but there's an unlimited amount of summer teams. And they don't know how well the summer team is, how many games they play, what level of competition they play. So when you say, "Hey, coach, I batted 400 in high school," he's going to know that that's a legit 400 because he's going to know what competition you play, who the other players are. But if you say, "Hey, coach, I batted 400 in summer," he could have, maybe you just had 10 at-bats all summer and you played against freshmen. He has no idea, and that's why he may be a little hesitant about your summer stats. Obviously, you try and get your coach, your summer team, and your high school coach on your team. But understand that you shouldn't put all your eggs in his basket. Like, he's got a job. He's got other players to think about as well. I used to be a high school coach. You get up 5:30 in the morning, get to school early so you can help other students understand the academic material. Then you teach all day. Then you go to practice or your game. Then you come home and you got to prepare for the next day on your coursework and your practice schedule. It doesn't leave a lot of time to contact coaches on your players' behalf. And you also got 30 players to think about and try and help out. So it does get a little daunting for a coach. But in summer ball, I always say try and get on the best team that you can where you can play every day. And playing every day is the key. It does no good if you're on the New York Yankees and you get one at bat the whole summer. One, your skills probably going to go down. And two, the coach will have no chance at watching you play and evaluating your skills. So, and also, just don't go in some rec ball team just because you can play every day there. Try and play at the best competition that you can where you can play every day. Also, on that note, don't think that just because you're playing on a great summer ball team, the coaches are going to notice you. The coach doesn't know how well your summer ball team is. Obviously he should be familiar with the top level summer teams, but when he goes to a tournament, he's going to get a sheet of like 90 teams that are in this tournament. He has no idea the skill level on them. And also, he's not coming to watch teams play. He'll come to the SEA Games to watch one individual player play. He's there to see that one player. After that game's done, he's leaving. He's not just sitting in the stands watching 6 games in a row just for the sake of watching baseball. If you do see a college coach there, introduce yourself to him. Preferably introduce yourself to him before the game. Not a lot of athletes will do that before the game. They'll wait, I hope I play well, and then I'll go introduce myself. Well, the problem with that is, you're going to play well, but the coach is looking at a different player and may not even recognize you. It might be on the phone every time you're up on bat or when you're pitching or whatnot. He's looking at the other team. But if you introduce yourself before the game, he'll say, look at that kid out there on the field. He came up to me, shook my hand firmly, looked me dead in the eye, had a conversation with me. Let's see how he's going to do. Let's see if I should put him on my radar. That will go miles and put you ahead of all those other players. Like I keep harping on, just like a job interview, to play on those good teams, work hard on your skills, because the higher level you play and the better you do, the less you have to sell yourself, and you can just kind of let your athletic performance do the work or speak for yourself. Now that brings us to college camps. A lot of players have a lot of questions about college camps, which to attend. I don't have the money to attend them all. I want to, so which ones do I make priority? I hate to say it, some of these college camps are just money makers, especially from the big time colleges, because their coaching staff could be made up of graduate assistants and volunteer assistants. And the only way they get paid is through their college camps. They don't get paid by the school. So these colleges will have 3, 4, 5 camps a year and try and get hundreds and hundreds of kids there, so that way they can pay their assistants and get better assistance in the process. On the flip side, some of these smaller schools don't have the recruiting budget, so they put on these camps in order to get the players on their campus, sell them there, and see how well they do, and that could be their only really real recruiting tool. Obviously, if a coach ever invites you to a camp, go to that camp. He's not inviting everyone. He's not just handing those out willy-nilly. If you get a one in the mail and you've never heard of that school and you've never talked to any of that school, that's probably a mass marketing camp, and I wouldn't put that on the top of my list. But if a coach ever asks for your address, personally invites you, you've got to go to that camp. While you're at these camps, you've got to talk to the coaches. You've got to ask the coaches questions. You've got to be prepared for the questions he'll ask you, what your answers are. Try and find out as much as you possibly can, because you'll have unlimited access to him. Also, a huge thing that you can do is if the players on that college are there working the camp, talk to them. They're going to spill their guts. They're going to tell you how it really is. Oh man, this academics kicking my butt. Like it's so hard, or oh, it's so easy. Find out from them what really is playing for that school is really like, because they don't have any invested interest in you. They're gonna tell you how it is. Obviously, baseball is a game of failure, so the coaches are hoping that you do bad just to see how you react. Are you throwing your helmet? Are you throwing the bat? Are you getting in a bad mood? You've got to stay upbeat. You've got to keep cheering on your players and your teammates, and you've got to have a positive attitude looking for that next play, because you're always going to make an error. You're always going to strike out sometime, and it's what you do after the fact is what's going to speak volumes to the coach. Don't go to the baseball field just during the camp. A lot of players will get there on Saturday morning, show up right at time camp starts, go to the baseball field, participate in camp, and then leave right after camp's done. If you can, go up there Friday or a school day, check out to see how the students are interacting around campus. Try and take a tour of the facilities, a tour of the academic facilities, check out the dorm rooms, stuff like that. Go into the nearest town and see what kind of restaurants and life they have. Try and get a full feel of the campus instead of just going there and playing baseball and then leaving. And that concludes our presentation on the recruiting process. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy day to watch this informational video. I hope I was able to give you a little bit of information and to help you better understand the recruiting process. If you need anything at all or have any questions or comments, here's my personal email, adam@roundingthird.org. I have a Twitter @_roundingthird. Also, my Instagram is rounding_third. Please let me know if you have any questions, comments, and I'll be sure to get back to you as soon as I possibly can. I hope you have a great rest of the day, and God bless.